Well, it's finally Friday. We made it through the week, but we've still got a couple of weeks of what's expected to be some high-flying action at the Illinois State House. This is Illinois in Focus. I'm Greg Bishop. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning here at 8 o'clock on YouTube with the Center Square. But don't forget, you can get the newsletter in your inbox each and every weekday morning. Just go to thecentersquare.com, click newsletter, fill out that info. It's free. We're a free newswire service, keeping an eye on what's going on at state houses across the country. I'm focused on Illinois, and that's why we do Illinois in Focus each and every weekday morning. We've got a couple of different things we're going to tackle. Number one, a lot of criminal justice conversation yesterday. Everything from new requirements to do background checks on law enforcement applicants to calls from the Senate Republicans for the acting director of the Department of Corrections to be ousted, and so much more, including concerns that continue to be raised about the Pretrial Fairness Act. So that'll be all in one segment. You don't want to miss that. Several different stories all intertwined from yesterday at the State House. But here we are. We've got until May 31st to get a budget of how your tax dollars are going to be spent in the state of Illinois. We still haven't really seen what that's going to look like, but Republicans are coming together and putting together kind of their framework of what they'd like to see. So we'll talk with State Representative Jed Davis coming up next year, live with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning as we break things down for you to know here in the land of Lincoln. May 31st is the deadline for the legislature here in Illinois to pass an annual appropriation bill. July 1st is the next fiscal year. And if they do what the governor wanted to do in his proposal, it'd be the most expensive spending plan in state history at nearly $55 billion. That's just state funds. I try to always remind people of, listen, you pay taxes to Illinois, but you also pay taxes to the federal government. And when you include federal funds, it approaches $190 billion plus dollars altogether. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop on the grounds at the State House when they're in session and breaking things out for you here each and every weekday morning. And I want to bring up State Representative Jed Davis. He is one of the Republican caucus members that is focused on trying to find a slimmed down version of a spending plan. So Representative, thanks for taking time with us here. Let's go ahead and get down to it. You were part of a news conference earlier this week to highlight $1 billion going out to non-government organizations. Obviously, talking with Jeannie Ives yesterday about that here on Illinois in Focus, we got a good idea of what exactly all that means. But part of that news conference earlier this week, you also talked about trying to find a slimmed down budget. Tell us what you got.
Yeah, I'm just kind of tired of being sidelined in the Illinois House. The Democrats create this budget behind closed doors. There is no cross-pollination across the theoretical aisle there in Springfield. And so it's very easy for frustration to kind of take root and just start to complain. And a lot of these complaints are valid because we are out of control in spending. And if you're the average family, like myself, my wife and my kids, and my daughter just had a baby yesterday. So
oh my gosh, congratulations.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm after session, I'm going to pop in and give the new one a hug, which will be great. But we're continuing to plant roots here in Illinois. I live in the small town America, but man, as we grow state budget, Main Street America, I'm not feeling any difference. Like, if anything, there's more burdens, more shackles of just expense, from property tax to groceries to the utility bills coming up. So how can we continually invest money into Illinois and make people's lives better, but yet we're not feeling that difference at all on the ground? And we're talking $15 billion over the course of about 7 years. So instead of just complaining, it's time to provide some solutions. So that's why I created this document, and I'm happy to jump in on it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at your website here. People can find it. Just search Jed Davis, State Representative, District 75, and you've got posted fiscal year 26 budget proposal: spend less and live better. So walk us through this. I mean, obviously, people watching this, they may have the opinion that we have a ton of wasteful spending. You say it's about 20% that could be cut.
Yeah, I really do feel there's a path there. Now, keep in mind, I'm a one-man rodeo, right? This is a frustrated state rep that wants to start providing solutions because we need leaders with spines instead of just continuing to whine. And this is going through tens of thousands of line items. I really feel there's a path that we can take about $9 billion out. Just me in my office, I can kind of identify a $4 to $5 billion low-hanging fruit of just a whole host of things. We're investing money into whole new markets like the EV market. We're totally propping up the EV market. I have nothing against electric cars, but why is the government propping up an entire industry? Let's let the free market determine that. Just like we're not dictating where gas stations are built, it's the free market that allows that to happen. So we need to get government out of that stuff, and we're investing hundreds of millions of dollars into those things that aren't having any change to you going to the grocery store and getting a lower cost of living. And you can go through all these agencies. I mean, I went agency to agency to agency and trying to get more creative, like even the way we manage DCFS. I'm a foster parent, so I am firsthand have a lot of experience in this, and it is just a broken, very impersonal environment that is tragic of what is happening to these kids getting kind of lost at times. Why don't we engage the faith-based community and community-driven like civic organizations and partner with them? If we can bring people that are already doing this work through their own fundraising efforts and work together, which is like, why would we do that? That sounds nuts, but man, let's open the doors and have a cross-pollinated experience, and our costs in government will go down. And you just go through all of this. And this is what I'm saying. There is a path. We can take out $9 billion and there's going to be revenue coming in. So last point, man, there's going to be revenue coming in. It's going to be hard to shut that spigot off. We're very good at collecting your money in Illinois. So it'll take some time to dial that back. So let's just give it back to the people. It's not my money. It's not your money. It is. I'm saying it's not Illinois. Me as a state rep. It's your money. My money as an individual, as a private citizen. Give it back to us. Let's send $1,500 checks back out to working families who have been crushed by inflation and other measures.
So, I mean, you're talking a difference of $55 billion, which was proposed. You're looking at something that could be slimmed down to $44 billion. Representative, sounds great, I guess, but is it doable? You guys are in the super minority at the State House, and they just ousted the appropriations chair, Democratic State Representative Fred Crespo, who for several years has been pointing out, listen, guys, you're starting all these new programs that say subject to appropriation, and we get audit findings that says these programs are by law, but they're not appropriated. It causes serious problems, especially in the last few days of legislative session when people are scrambling to get their programs funded.
Yeah, amen. And good job for Fred to have the courage to, stand up and just kind of raise the red flag. I mean, he got punished for that. He got thrown out of caucus and stripped of his committee chair. So that is just, when you propose reining in government in Springfield and spending less, you get thrown out of your own party. That is insanity and just completely unacceptable. Hats off to the Republicans. I've got no pushback. I'm filing my own, not filing, but creating and proposing my own budget path. And I've had nothing but support. So I'm very grateful for the leadership on the side of the Republican aisle in that regard. But this, they're not going to listen to this. They're going to create their own budget behind closed doors and just shove it down our throats in the wee hours of the morning. And who knows the ungodly tax increases that will come with that, which really concern me, because when I talk again to people door to door, it's unaffordable to live here. So I'm just tired of complaining. I want to say, here's a path. Are you willing to come to the table? Like, I'm willing to work with you. Here are some ideas. Let's sit down and have a conversation. Some of these ideas might be horrible ideas. I'm not saying these are gold, but let's have the conversation And I know that if we can work together from far left to far right and actually work for the people of Illinois, man, everyone will win. And we can shrink government without any unnoticeable change other than more money in your pocket.
You're talking about families and individuals, but I would imagine, too, there's got to be some benefits of a slimmed down state government not overtaxing its people on the economy. Illinois has historically lagged the national economy while states around us seem to be growing quite a bit. Talk about that, how, a more lean and mean type of government, state government, what does that signal to a community outside of Illinois that might want to be investing in businesses?
Yeah, again, I don't think we should be using state money to prop up businesses. So let's get out of the way. This will blow your mind, and it's hard to even have people comprehend this, because myself, I'm like, I can't, this is insane when you sit down and think about it. 20 million words in the Illinois Administrative Code that are telling you and me, and more specifically businesses, what they can and can't do on a daily basis through regulation and red tape. 20 million words. That may be like, oh, that's no big deal. That's like a Moby Dick. I'll read it in a week. No, it would take 28 full-time weeks. So if you did nothing, 40 hours a week, for more than half a year just to read it, let alone understand it. So this is all of the regulation bearing down on Illinois, 28 work weeks just to read the 20 million words. Like, it's insane. And we wonder why businesses are leaving Illinois. Well, what in the world? You got us in a straitjacket. And that's why I proposed 3 bills earlier this year to start dialing that back. If we can get out of the way, I keep saying that, if we can get the regulation out of the way and let the free market just thrive in Illinois, we can be just a beacon of hope for the nation, because we are a state just with amazing potential, from resources in the ground to transportation conduits all over, north to south, east to west. But man, we just love to create barricades. And when you're investing, if you're a business and you're going to invest everything you've got into building into Illinois and provide jobs for people, and you're looking at 20 million words telling you what you can and can't do compared to our neighboring states, you're going to take pause. And that's why we got to knock this nonsense off.
We're talking with State Representative Judd Davis here with Illinois in Focus Daily. And budget obviously is on the minds of a lot of people in the final couple of weeks of session here. What kind of relationship do you think there's going to be between the state of Illinois' budget and any federal policies that may come down, the withholding of funds because of, be it DEI or whatever the case may be? How real of an issue is that in the states that has deficits and spending issues?
Yeah, no, I think it's very real, and it's very concerning to me, because we have we have a governor wanting to be president in Illinois. He's out in New Hampshire and other states just kind of thumping his chest on the national stage. You'd have to be living in a closet somewhere to not realize that he's grandstanding for an eventual president. Now you're starting to engage in warfare, political warfare, in words from the podiums, just really antagonizing the federal government. And they're not messing around. You can see the suits that have been filed and some of the things they've done in Maine. And I just read another one this morning. I forget what state it was, but they're saying, we're here to help. We're here to help, and we want to get the dollars into the pockets of the people who need it. Everyone's freaking out about Medicaid cuts and all this stuff, but there's a lot of waste in there of people on those rolls that the system wasn't designed to support. Man, if you need it, we want to get that money to you so you can provide for your livelihood and your families, your children, your aging parents. Like, let's make the system be what it was designed to be, instead of just puffing up our chest and really pushing back. And now you're starting to kind of poke a bear that I don't think should poke, because all of a sudden, if we lose funding because we're trying to grandstand for a presidential run instead of caring about the people of Illinois, we're in a world of hurt. And you're going to see us in session over the summer, which is really going to be just aggravating, because it's a problem that the governor would have intentionally created.
Representative, finally here, how many terms have you been in? 2, 3?
This is just my second. So
this is just your second. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So in those 4 years here, or going on now 3 years, I guess, walk people through how frustrating it is in the final hours to get this, 3,000 plus page budget with the, accompanying budget implementation bill. And then you're in a committee and getting ready to vote on it within an hour and a half. It's 11 o'clock then turns into 2 o'clock in the morning. And what does that do to you? What does that do to your staff? And how do you think your taxpayers feel that they're being treated?
It's stupid. And they don't know. Illinois doesn't know. Like, Springfield's very good at just kind of keeping all of this nonsense behind closed doors and not communicating it back to the people. When I got down here, I could not believe the way that we govern in Illinois. It is so beneath the electorate that if they really knew, I don't care if you're blue or red or an independent voter, if you really knew, you'd be like, wait, time out. This isn't right. This isn't how Illinois should be governed. So they're going to talk about reading 20 million words. They're going to cram a really thick document full of spending, bloated spending, that's going to raise your cost of living more than it already is through the wee hours of the morning without any time for anyone to have any real conversation on it. And this summer, to try to drive that point home as a visual, I'm going to print out the budget. I'm going to say, sorry for wasting the paper, but I need to show constituents exactly what we're talking about. I'm going to put it on a pedestal right in the front of my office. Come in and see it. And hey, we can take the glass off and you can thumb through it and look at it. And guess what? You've got 3 hours to read it and tell me what you would and wouldn't support in it. Like, that is how we're doing it in Springfield. And the crazy thing is, even on the Democrat side of the aisle, there's only a handful of people there that are in the know. So there is just a handful of people calculating your cost of living to go through the roof, leaving everyone else out. So we're leaving millions of voters out of this process because we silence everyone else, cram it through so there can be no opposition, go home and don't ever talk about it, other than making speeches on the campaign trail of we're here for you, when it's complete nonsense because they betrayed you down in the chamber.
And there's going to be a lot of ribbon cuttings and such, I imagine, as well over the summer. That is, if they don't have to come back and scramble because of the loss of federal funds, potentially. State Representative Jed Davis, greatly appreciate you being here with us. We'll see you at the Capitol here in, after a couple of segments, I'm going to be heading that way myself. So we'll see you out there for today. You guys are back next week, and then it's going to be a interesting couple of weeks there. So appreciate you taking the time with us today.
Thank you so much.
All right. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily. All right. So make it happen. Get that newsletter and be part of the program. And the live chat's always lively. If you're able to get in there early in the mornings, check it out. The Center Square here on YouTube. From the end of cash bail statewide to reaction of legislation to bring about more accountability for law enforcement recruits, the issue of criminal justice was front and center yesterday at the Illinois State House. I'm Greg Bishop. It is Illinois in Focus Daily as we look at what happens in the state of Illinois. And we've been, obviously, if you've been with the Center Square for years, you saw us cover the Pretrial Fairness Act, and that all is about ending cash bail statewide. It was part of the Safety Act, which passed during a lame duck session in January of 2021. Huge bill led by the Black Caucus at the Illinois State House that put regulations on police for a variety of things. But it also brought about criminal justice reforms as part of the Pretrial Fairness Act, which ends cash bail statewide. And it had a runway for it to be implemented. But then you had states' attorneys across the state sue over it, and the Illinois Supreme Court ultimately taking that up and enacting it in September of 2023. So no cash bail has been implemented statewide. Republicans say it was necessary. They opposed it because they said judges need the discretion and victims need the restitution from cash bail. Democrats, they supported the end of cash bail, saying that people are innocent until proven guilty, and people being held in jail pending trial because they can't afford to bail themselves out for a crime like shoplifting that ruins their lives. So those are the two sides of that argument. But you also have other issues within the police regulation and criminal justice space that's surfaced as well, and that involves the aftermath of the Sonia Massey shooting in Springfield last year, where Sonia Massey called police about a suspected prowler outside her home. Sheriff's deputies show up, and one of them shot her, and he's charged. He's no longer a sheriff's deputy, and there's questions about his detention because his lawyers are saying he should be released pending trial, but he is being detained. So interesting, we had the Illinois Supreme Court earlier this week hear that case about Sean Grayson, the former sheriff's deputy, and whether or not he should be held behind bars. So that whole situation, the Sonia Massey murder and the subsequent trial of Sean Grayson, which is about to begin soon after they deal with some of these other issues. You've got State Senator Doris Turner pushing for legislation to bring about more regulations over police candidates, because Grayson has a pretty checkered history of having worked with like 6 different police agencies in central Illinois, being discharged from the Army, and a whole host of other questionable conduct. How is it that he was able to become a sheriff's deputy? All right, so that's the concern there. So we'll hear a little bit about that. But let's start with a just absolutely horrific story of a young woman in Illinois who found herself just in a really bad. This is something tough to listen to. I was at this news conference yesterday, and it was hard to hear it, but I think it's important to hear it. This is State Representative Tom Weber sharing the details of the story.
People here in Illinois deserve safety, justice, and accountability. But instead, they have been handed a deeply flawed law, the Safety Act, that has failed to deliver on its promises and continues to put families at risk. The Safety Act has stripped judges of their discretion, making it harder to detain dangerous individuals before trial. It has weakened law enforcement's ability to do their jobs effectively, creating confusion and uncertainty in the legal system. And most troubling of all, it has allowed dangerous offenders to walk free, putting innocent lives in danger. One tragic example of this failure is the story of Megan Boss, a young woman whose life was cut short and whose family now faces unimaginable grief. Megan, a 37-year-old woman from Antioch, Illinois, was reported missing in February. Her mother, Jennifer, spent weeks searching for her, posting flyers and praying for her safe return. Tragically, Megan's body was discovered in April, hidden inside a garbage can behind a home in Waukegan. Jose Luis Mendoza Gonzalez, a Mexican national and the suspect in this case, admitted to police that Megan had died in his home, and instead of calling 911, he broke her phone, kept her body in his basement for 2 days, and then moved it outside, allegedly hiding her body in a garbage can for over 50 days. Despite these horrifying details, Mendoza Gonzalez was released from custody because under the Safety Act, the 4 felony charges against him are classified as non-detainable offenses.
So Republicans holding this news conference yesterday with the mother of Megan Boss, who shared even more graphic detail about being told by investigators what they found and how that's impacted the family. But she talked about how for a month they didn't know anything, and they were putting up flyers all over the place, and including around where the suspect here, who they say admitted to this, concealing a death for up to 50 days. Here's Jennifer Boss.
And for a month, he watched as we frantically searched for her. He ignored the flyers. There were flyers everywhere with her face on them. He didn't care about what we were going through. He admittedly hid in his house when we knocked on his door.
And you've got, wow, he hid in his house while they knocked on his door, she says. Oh, boy. Again, a tough story here, but the suspect in this being charged with 4 felonies, but apparently those 4 felonies don't rise to the level of being a detainable offense in a state with no cash bail. So concealment of a body, not a detainable offense. State Representative Patrick Windhorst, a Republican there with Jennifer, and Representative Tom Weber, and also State Representative Patrick Sheehan, a police officer, one of 3, I believe, that serve in the House. State Representative Patrick Windhorst, he said that the law needs to change, and if we're going to keep no cash bail, all felony offenses should be detainable.
You know, we have called for, just to be clear, a restoration of cash bail. There was a Supreme Court commission that talked about we could do a hybrid system that includes cash bail with also more times you can not using monetary bail. But what I think is important is we need to make sure the detention net includes all offenses that are felony offenses if we're going to keep this system.
And it includes concealment of a body. So Republicans have been steadfast opposing the Pretrial Fairness Act. Obviously, they're in the super minority, but are they getting across to people with these just absolutely horrifying stories? I asked State Representative Cam Buckner, a Democrat out of Chicago, if he is open to changes of the Safety Act and the Pretrial Fairness Act in particular, and he said, yeah, it's not a perfect law.
I've always said that the Safety Act is not a perfect piece of legislation, that it can be perfected, and with a piece of legislation that size, it always, there will be opportunities to do that, and I've always said this since 2021. I'm ready to listen to my colleagues, not just have them pontificate about what was wrong, but if there are things that they think can be better and they have some examples, my door's always open.
So his door's always open, but Patrick Windhorst says that really this is all on Democrats. They're the ones with the power and the majority to move legislation along.
We have not seen anything come forward in the Judiciary Criminal Committee. I've had conversations individually with lawmakers on the other side of the aisle, and they realize there's problems and believe those problems need to be corrected. It's just a matter of holding hearings, considering legislation, and passing it. We have had subject matter hearings in a number of committees, including this committee. I believe we should be listening to people who have this experience, considering this legislation, and making the right changes.
So clearly Republicans calling for changes to the Pretrial Fairness Act, but we really haven't seen anything move forward at the State House, and we've got a May 31st deadline for them to pass legislation with simple majorities. Afterwards, they'd have to pass legislation with super majorities. So that's just one issue. Then you get into the issue of law enforcement, and a measure did pass the House yesterday, and it's on its way now to the governor's office for a signature, and it's a measure from State Senator Doris Turner, whose constituent Sonia Massey was shot and killed by a sheriff's deputy. That sheriff's deputy is no longer a sheriff's deputy, Sean Grayson, facing murder charges, being held pending trial, even though he's fighting to be released pending trial in the case that went to the Illinois Supreme Court. But Sonia Massey's father says the legislation that Turner has to require a much more thorough background check of information about a police applicant to be made available for the hiring agency, so that hiring agency can't say we didn't know about this person's history. Whether or not they make the decision to hire somebody, even if they have all that information, that is not part of this law, but simply just making sure that everybody has access to that information is part of this law. Sonia Massey's father, James Wilburn, at a news conference yesterday saying that this is important to have so that they can weed out bad actors getting into law enforcement.
No one applied for this fraternity that your child would be taken away through the good old boy system. This man should have never been given a gun and a badge to kill my child.
It's, again, just another gut-wrenching story when you really get down to it. And we reviewed that video of Sonia Massey getting shot from police body cam footage capturing that. And you can see the whole video. It's tough to watch. But clearly, some movements, Democrat moving legislation through to bring about more regulations on police. Here is Senator Turner talking about her legislation.
In collaboration with the Illinois Sheriff's Association and the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police, we were able to determine necessary guardrails to include in this legislation. It would require law enforcement agencies to conduct a more comprehensive review of a prospective officer's past employment to ensure his or her physical and psychological fitness for duty as a police officer before making an offer of employment.
And the measure would also create more sheriff merit boards to be able to deal with these issues also across the state. So the measure passed the Senate last month, I believe, and yesterday on the House floor, it surmounted its final obstacle. Let's just put it that way. State Representative Cam Buckner bringing that bill onto the House floor for final passage. But State Representative Dennis Tipsword, a Republican and also a member of law enforcement, had some issues with the legislation.
Leader, I appreciate your work on this. I know what you were trying to do. I don't know that this language gets you there, and I have some concerns with that. I was a no in committee, and I'm probably still going to be a no. I'd love to talk to you more about it, for other things we can do, but as it is, I still have some reservations.
So still some reservations. What are those reservations? It comes down to, for instance, who's going to be impacted by having to turn over these reports about somebody that they may have employed years ago.
I see in the bill that there's an avenue for the hiring agency to file in court to get those records. But I still have a problem, just like we do now, if someone doesn't comply, at what point in time, we may have a good applicant, we may have a good candidate, but if one private agency or one law enforcement agency doesn't get back to us, that person doesn't get in the door. So I'm concerned about that.
And the measure passed with bipartisan support. It passed the Senate unanimously. Now that measure is going to go on to the governor's desk. So we've talked about detention for suspected criminals or criminals who are accused of things. We've talked about the police interactions and who can become law enforcement. Let's talk about prison. Why not? So the Illinois Department of Corrections has a lot going on. I mean, obviously, there's prisons all across the state, different levels of security. There's a big, what could possibly be $1 billion project to tear down and replace the Stateville prison. You got the Logan Center in Lincoln as well. That's going to be demolished. It's going to be expensive. A lot of shifting people around back and forth and inmates and trying to keep all of that under wraps and working properly. But are things working properly? Republicans for a while now have been raising the alarm about contraband getting into the prisons, about the number of prisoners who have died because of overdoses, the threats to the staff and corrections guards at prisons from exposure to dangerous drugs getting into the mail, and even violence against them from prisoners. Republicans say that Governor J.B. Pritzker's choice to be the acting director of the Illinois Department of Corrections, LaToya Hughes, who's getting like $220,000 a year, she's an acting director. She hasn't been confirmed yet by the Senate. And State Senator Jason Plummer taking her to task about the issue of contraband getting into Illinois prisons and what's being done about it. Are they screening? Are they making sure that paper laced with illicit drugs isn't getting directly into the hands of the inmates?
Are we going to have a system in place, mail scan or whatever, to stop the synthetics that are flooding our facilities, harming our correction staff, and harming the inmates at the facilities?
So there's a couple of things that are going on currently. One, we're in conversations with our union partners related specifically to your question, related to mail and mail scanning. We are working with them on a comprehensive approach.
So what does that comprehensive approach look like? I feel like Republicans did not get the answers they needed, and they say that Governor Pritzker needs to take away and withdraw LaToya Hughes' appointment. And she's been an acting director for a while, and Democrats haven't, advanced this thing out of the Senate to, do their job of, approving gubernatorial appointees. Plummer, alongside Terry Bryant, took to a news conference yesterday to demand that Pritzker withdraw LaToya Hughes' name, saying that she is incapable of running this agency and even incapable of answering how many prisoners have died so far this year.
This isn't just a LaToya Hughes problem. I want to be clear about that. This is a J.B. Pritzker management failure. It's another Governor Pritzker management failure.
And he goes on to say that the issues are just untenable and dangerous.
It's only time before something tragic happens. I mean, staff assaults are through the roof. We're just lucky someone hasn't died. And the governor needs to change course real fast or it's going to happen. And I don't know how much bigger of a red light we can shoot off than this.
Well, we'll see if there's any changes there and whether the Senate, when they come back next week, actually advances LaToya Hughes' nomination and make it an actual director, not an acting director. So yeah, criminal
If there is a
justice
time,
taking a
that-
ton of focus yesterday at the Illinois State House. So we'll obviously be tracking more of that. We got to talk about ethics at some point as well, pensions, all of this in the next few weeks as they try to craft a budget and get it across the finish line. I'll be there on the ground. It is Friday. I'm looking forward to the weekend. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily. All right. It's Friday. It's been a long week. Next week's going to be a long week. The week after that, even after Memorial Day, they're scheduled to come in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Will they stay the entire time? I don't know. Could they wrap things up next week? I don't know. We're going to see tax increases as part of the largest spending plan ever? I don't know. That's why you need to wake up with us, because once we get that info, we'll keep you informed so you can get on with your day as well. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy it. Hunker down for some storms possible. I think next week might be actually a little bit more mild. Kind of looking forward to that. All right, we'll see you back here Monday morning. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us with Illinois in Focus Daily. If you can't make the live show, get the full podcast where you get podcasts. Search Illinois in Focus, and don't forget to get the headlines in your inbox. Go to thecentersquare.com, click newsletter, sign up today. It's free, and you'll stay informed.